In the fall of 1998, a 10-year-old me sat on the bus to school while playing Pokemon Blue on my original Game Boy. My starter was a Bulbasaur, and it had evolved into an Ivysaur, and I was in the middle of an important gym battle on this bus ride. The problem wasn't the battle itself, that I don't remember being particularly difficult, but the biggest problem was the poor battery life on the Game Boy. These babies take 4 AA's, and they don't last all that long. It gives you a little indicator here with a red light of its life. You're supposed to sort of judge it by how bright the light is. The light was getting so dim that the actual screen went off, although I knew the game was running because there was still sound. I'd gotten through the gym battle and I heard a very significant sound effect. Everyone knows what's coming next. Your Pokemon's about to evolve. I didn't know into what. These games had just come out and the internet wasn't really around, so I was on the edge of my seat, literally on the bus, trying to figure out what was going to happen next. Most importantly, I didn't want my game to shut off. I needed to somehow save this thing. Open the start menu, 4 down to save, A, and that chime is how I knew the game was saved. I could safely shut off the Game Boy, and my companion's new form wouldn't be lost. Of course, even if the batteries did die, I could just change the batteries, redo the battle, and, nothing would really have changed. So why did I feel this compulsive attachment to this, series of ones and zeros on this thing? Capturing and making friends with Pokemon has always been a successful part of the formula. And I don't think my experience is anything really unique. I think a lot of people formed bonds with, especially their starters. But I have to wonder, why is it that so many people like me, who were obsessed with the first couple generations and then more or less fell off and haven't really come back as strongly to the series? It could be part of growing up, it could be a part of going on to enjoy and want other things out of games, but there's always this sort of yearning to come back to it. Now, I know that's not really the main demographic of Pokemon gamers. It's still the most successful IP franchise of all time. The games still sell millions and millions of copies, despite Scarlet and Violet being a little bit more buggy and unreliable than the franchise is known for. I played Sword and Shield, I played Legends Arceus, and there's still a lot the series has to offer, but there's sort of a missing component here that I want to get at. I've looked at a lot of rankings online of every Pokemon generation story ranked worst to best. Some people put Generation 1 at or near the top. Most people on Reddit seem to agree Black and White have the best story. I think this is because Pokemon Black and White try to make the story a little bit more adult and nuanced. But that's not what I think is at the core of why Pokemon grabbed me as a kid. Aside from gameplay loops, aside from art style, cute or awesome looking Pokemon, the fundamental thing that a Pokemon game needs is clear emotional stakes. This has nothing to do with Team Rocket or Team Plasma or Team Shout. What was the Sword and Shield one? It has nothing to do with the big mafia-like organization of the week that you're here to topple. That to me is, it's an important part of the world building and the story, but I think people get the wrong idea that the antagonist of, say, Pokemon Red and Blue and Yellow is Team Rocket. It's not. It's Gary, your rival. That's the antagonist of those games. Think about how we start off this game. We start off at home with our mom, in our hometown. It's small, there aren't many people there, and we have one other kid there our age. He's not trying to be our friend. He doesn't want to be our companion. He wants to pulverize us into the ground. He is so confrontational and committed to being better than you in every way. You pick your starter Pokemon, and what does he do? He immediately picks the one that has the advantage over yours, that can exploit every weakness of your new companion. I think this is so much more relevant to being a child, that sort of 11, 10 years and younger. To be a kid is to be powerless, to not have control over the world around you, and just wanting to feel like you have some agency, that you're good enough. Listening In has this outstanding video that analyzes Eric Erickson's 8 stages of human development and how Pixar uses these stages to tell their stories. Each stage has to reconcile 2 conflicting emotions that are within our hearts. The 4th stage is industry versus inferiority, and it happens right before puberty, around age 10. You can think of this like Riley in the movie Inside Out. Listening In puts it like this: can I make it in a world full of people and things? This totally encapsulates the story of Pokemon, because it's a child setting out on a world. Now you might think, why would a 10-year-old be allowed to just go off and explore the world. Obviously that isn't totally realistic in our world, but the point is that the idea of a 10-year-old going out and exploring the world has weight in our own hearts. At age 10, we get the feeling like we should be able to stand on our own 2 feet and assert ourselves in this world and feel like we have control.
And now that I'm 10, I can finally get my Pokemon license.
If we don't feel that way, if we feel forces pushing us inward, it has a negative effect, the opposite effect of our own growth that we need. This is exactly what Gary does in the game. He acts as this antagonizing, oppressing force, keeping us from asserting ourselves. Whatever you want to do, he's better. He's caught more Pokemon, he has more gym badges, his Pokemon are stronger and better than yours and can exploit the weaknesses of your team. Professor Oak could have just easily appointed you alone to complete his Pokedex, but no, he gave one to you and his grandson to go out and see who could do it first, I guess. I don't know. He didn't really tell you that you had to work together. You have this competition immediately from the get-go of only one of you can be the one to complete the task. The game reinforcing this idea that Gary wants you to think that you might beat all the gyms in Elite Four, but you'll never beat me, and because of that, you'll never be good enough. For a kid to feel that, I mean, that just cuts right to the heart, doesn't it? This whole experience of Pokemon Red, Blue, and Yellow is wrapped up in this theme of the inferiority that we feel as children. And more importantly, I think it helps us deal with that feeling. Yes, we begin with a Pokemon that's technically weaker than that of our rival, but it's ours now. We've chosen it. It's our companion, and it's sticking with us no matter what, and we're sticking with it. The game teaches us right away. It's about helping each other, being there for each other, and moving forward no matter what. And moving forward even though we know we're going to face this antagonist again and again. It just sort of happens when you least expect it to. I mean, you'll just be sort of walking through the brush and all of a sudden... But we move forward. We start off small, just one Pokemon, our companion. We slowly catch more, we build a team of companions that sort of seem to believe in us, that want to stay with us, that will fight for us, that won't give up on us, will help us through this journey. And we'll get there together at the end. And yeah, we do get all the badges. We beat Team Rocket, we beat the Elite Four, we got to the top. Now, there's one last fight. I have to prove once and for all that I myself am good enough, and the team I built, not through force or finding the strongest Pokemon necessarily, but the team that I built through taking great care and companionship and kindness and being there for each other, we are stronger. That is the best way to end this story, isn't it? It starts with a childhood crisis of identity and then resolves it at the end. Not only is it great storytelling, it has clear emotional stakes. Am I good enough? And can I assert myself and have agency and operate in a wide world of people and things? I think about newer games and how they deal with this. I don't think they deal with it at all, really. When I played Sword and Shield, you have a rival, but not really. He's just sort of a buddy that travels along with you that doesn't really try and challenge you emotionally. He just sort of says, hey, let's battle every few minutes. Sure, there's a greater threat that you have to deal with, and there are sort of stakes and things you have to do, otherwise X will happen, but it doesn't seem clear and it doesn't seem emotionally driven. Though I'm not saying every game in the franchise has to follow the same formula of that exact footprint from the originals, but it does indicate to me why I haven't really seen the same effectiveness in the other generations. Yeah, you could probably have fun building a team and battling and going through the same motions, but I wonder why I haven't really been able to pick up a Pokemon game in a long time. I mean, I've bought them, I've started them, but I just sort of put them down and don't come back to them. And I know for me, it is because of not having clear emotional stakes. I don't have that feeling of, I have to see this story through, otherwise I won't feel resolved. And I'm betting other people feel that too, which is very curious. I remember almost 25 years ago dreaming about the day we might get an open world console-like Pokemon game. But now that they're out, I don't know. But I think the games still have something to offer everyone. I could easily see myself falling in love with the games again. I don't think it needs all these bells and whistles, larger-than-life bosses, grand conspiracies, and Marvel-like events. It can certainly include those things if it wants, but at its core, the game needs to have those emotional stakes. Pixar really is the gold standard here. They consistently find a way to connect with us on that deeper level. And so yeah, it's been a long time since I've really gotten into the series, but I still have faith. Just like that bus ride 24 years ago, when the batteries were dying, the screen was dead, and I had to find a way to save before losing my newly evolved Venusaur. Great storytelling has always been with us. It's been with this franchise, and let's hope it finds its way back.